Welcome to Not Guinea Hog Forge. This is my well-used and very unfinished kitchen, as you see, but we also said that we were going to do some cooking videos, and so this is where we're going to start out. Now, if you've taken a class from me here at the shop, you know that pretty much all classes start out with sausage biscuits, and I have a lot of people ask me how to make sausage biscuits. So today we're going to make buttermilk biscuits and some deer sausage to go in them for our lunch. Ingredients: I use white lily self-rising flour. It's been very good for me. It's done a good job. You're gonna need baking powder. Right this minute I have Clabber Girl and buttermilk. I like the whole buttermilk. You can do the skim if you want. It doesn't really matter. And for today we're using butter. Doesn't matter. The higher grade butter, the less butter you need. The lower grade, you'll find you need more butter. Usually I use lard, but today we're kind of low on lard, so it's butter today. That's all the ingredients you need. It's very simple. I don't really have a recipe. The only thing I really measure is the flour and the baking powder. Everything else is kind of by feel, and I'll try and show you exactly what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and get started with making some biscuits. All right, we've got all of our ingredients put together here. Now we're going to start making some biscuits. So take the lid off here. Real careful measurements, as you see. Just scoop in roughly 2 cups. So about done with the flour here. Now, I don't know how to explain this. It's just something my mom taught me, and I don't know how to really describe it, but it's what she calls a scant teaspoon for 2 cups of flour. Scant teaspoon of baking powder. So put that in. Done with the baking powder. Done with the measuring spoons. And then I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. Yes, I put my hands in it. I'm going to put my hands in it all the way through it. It's a biscuit. You're supposed to put your hands in it. Next thing is the fat, the butter. What I'm going to do is we're going to use about a half a stick of butter, but I don't really worry about the exact amount. It's more about what happens in the bowl here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to start just slicing off some pats with my very well used paring knife. If you're curious and you've bought knives and you're wondering knives, you're thinking about buying knives, this is what a carbon steel knife should look like right here. It should have this kind of patina. All right, that's close. We're close. So I'm going to reach in. I'm going to mash them out. It is way easier to use room temperature butter or butter that's been warmed. This is not pastry. You want to mix it in like cornmeal. You want to get it all, you want it to look like sawdust when you get done, basically. You're not trying to, I'm not a fluffy biscuit maker. I learned biscuit making from my mother. It's really funny. I learned it from her, and this is quote unquote her recipe, but we make very, very different biscuits. So you're along the ride for my biscuits. I'm just going to keep incorporating this in until it all goes away, till it disappears. And it changes the texture of the flour. And I'll show you what I'm looking for in just a minute. Just keep working it. As long as I can feel lumps in here or see lumps or little smears, I'm not done. It's going to take me a little while. It'll take me a minute or two to get it all worked in. So, oh, found one. If you're using the lower grade butter, it will take more butter. And if you're using store-bought lard, it will take more lard. The lard that we make here from the guinea hogs, it takes very little fat. It just doesn't take as much. I don't know why. I think maybe they froth it or whip it or something at when they sell it so that it looks like more, even though they sell it by the pound. I don't know. Anyway, it'll take more. All right, I've got this about incorporated now. And I'm not quite there. I'm close. Now, the more fat you put in, the shorter the biscuits will be, which is a blessing and a curse in and of itself, and all at the same time. Because the higher the fat content, kind of the richer the biscuit is, but it's not as light and airy, and it gets a little crumblier. So you have to, it's a come to Jesus moment with what you want to do, with what kind of biscuits you're looking for. All right, so what I'm looking for is I'm squeezing it really hard, and I'm opening it up and see how it has formed, and it just barely resists my thumb pressure. So we don't have quite a half a stick in there, but it seems about right today, but it will form up, and it's just barely. If you want them shorter, you want it to feel a good clean break. If you want them lighter and airier, then go with less. But there it is. Next thing, I'm going to put my buttermilk in. So, and I just pour it in and throw the cap on the floor. Oh well. Welcome to pseudo live work. How much? Enough. I don't know how much. I don't never measured it. I'm just going to stir it with my finger, and when it starts forming a ball, I'm going to come back and add some more, because I need more to make more of a ball. Now, when you're making it, it's not super critical anyway, as long as it forms a ball. But the problem is, and it's not a problem, but you will have variations in your biscuits. If you get them too wet, instead of rising up really tall, they'll kind of mush out at the bottom. They'll still be delicious. They'll still be great. They'll still be light and fluffy, and everybody will want to eat them, but they won't rise up as high. So if you really want high risen biscuits, you need to stay a little on the drier side with your dough. Now, that's looking like I'm probably where I want to be right now. I want it to be kind of gooey, and I want to get everything out of the bowl, but I'm not going to obsess over it. It's not a knife. So, all right, that's good enough right there, I think, for what we want today. I'm going to move my buttermilk. I'll find my lid later, whatever I did with that. I'll get a little flour here. I'm going to sprinkle some on the cutting board. And we'll clean it off my fingers. If you don't like to play with your food, biscuits are probably not for you. But, oh well. A little more here. Sprinkle a little on the top. And then I'm going to get my biscuit dough out. Now, my mother was raised in the time that said that you should, as soon as you can cut a biscuit, you cut the biscuit, because she said it makes it tough. And that it's true within limits, but you've got to be able to get it to the point that you can work it. If you can't work it, it's going to be hard to make it a biscuit. So, and when your fingers just kind of come clean like that, that's probably about the consistency that you want. So there, and I'm almost there. I'm gonna get a couple more turns here, and then form it back up and patty it out. A little more flour sticking to my board here a little bit. All right, that's looking kind of like I want it now. Now I have a very precise thickness measure. I put my thumb here and go all the way around and check to make sure that my thumb is the same height as my thumb. That's what I'm looking for. I want a good clean top. Some people butter the top, some people flour the tops. I just kind of like them the way they come out. Now, the secret ingredient that I have not talked about yet that you've got to have is you've got to have a baking powder can from your great-grandmother that's over 100 years old. If you don't have these, sorry, you can't make biscuits. That's not true. For the longest time, I've used glasses, anything that'll cut the size biscuit that I want. Now, I also want just a plain aluminum baking sheet. This is a quarter sheet, and I don't like them dark. I don't like them non-stick. I want it just shiny aluminum. It changes the way it looks when you bake them. And they brown better, in my opinion. They more evenly. Cut it. Place them. Now, here's another point that people will either, it's got to be one way or the other. I don't fit into that. I do both. Some people say that you have to leave space, and some people say that you have to touch them. If you want the maximum rise from your biscuits, allow them to touch. The problem with that is they will rise in a dome. So the ones in the middle would rise the most, and so you're making a lot of biscuits. That works. And the ones on the edges will kind of be shallower, and it makes an uneven biscuit. If you spread them out, they'll be a little more even. Now, got those. I'm going to patty this up. Just patty it, roll it. I got sausage on the brain. Get my height gauge going again. Make my cut. Place it. Cut. I'm going to have one more piece. We're not going to cut this one, I'm just going to roll it into a hand-formed biscuit. This is kind of the way my dad was raised, is what he said always was best, but I guess he's out of luck because Mom nor I do this on a regular basis. He thinks all of them should be done by hand. To do that, they need to be a little wetter. So, there's my pan of biscuits ready to go in the oven. Okay, we got a preheated oven to 385 degrees. That will depend on your oven. For my oven, it's 385, some it's 400, some it's 425. It just depends on your oven. It's on convection right now. I'm gonna turn the convection off. I don't need convection for this. And 385 again. And I'm gonna put them in the oven somewhere in the middle, and it will take 18 minutes for them to get done. On average, I found that somewhere around 18 minutes is right. We'll come back and see if I got them too wet or real high and puffy. Thanks. Talk to you in a minute. While they're baking, I'm gonna clean up a little bit and we'll talk. And I gotta fry some deer sausage. So just gonna clean up a little bit here, scrape it up, get rid of it. This will go in a bowl that we're gonna add to the pig slops so it doesn't go to waste. Also, we're going to feature some deer sausage that we killed this year. We'll talk about that in another video. We'll go through what we put in it, but it's pretty daggum good. This is bacon deer sausage, and it's my favorite. I love the guinea hog. At this point, I kind of decided that I prefer the deer, but you know, things change over time. I'm gonna pull it out, and I'm gonna patty it up into 6 patties. And then get my oven out and just usually go about 6 patties per pound. It's just a good size. I want a piece that covers my biscuit. I hate little tiny pieces of sausage that disappear. I want to know that I'm eating something. While I'm going here, Lydia wanted me to do something. She wanted me to tell you a story about, I guess it's my origin story for cooking. So I don't know, it was a long time ago. I was pre-10. I wasn't 10 years old yet, I know that. And there was a TV show, and if you're of a certain age and you're from North Carolina, you might remember the name. It was something called the Betty Mann Show. Peggy Mann Show. And it was kind of like, who is it? Martha Stewart before Martha Stewart was a thing. And I was sick. Sick enough, couldn't go to school. But anyway, I must have started getting better because I was sitting there in my mom and dad's room. There was only one TV in the house, there's no TV in this house. But anyway, there's only one TV, and I'm sitting there watching TV, and the Peggy Mann Show comes on. And while I'm watching the Peggy Mann Show, I'm getting hungrier. And her cooking spot that day was beer bread. And I watched her make the beer bread, and it was really simple. And I don't remember the recipe anymore. I don't think I could make it anymore. But it was essentially flour and some salt and a beer. Maybe some butter or something. I can't remember. But anyway, it was beer bread. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, I'm hungry. And there was nobody there to cook for me because there was supposed to be a lady that was supposed to come look after me. But she didn't show up. Found out later she was in a minor car accident. Nobody got hurt. But anyway, she never showed up, so I was on my own. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I know that my dad drinks beer. And he has a beer in the refrigerator. And I know that my mother has flour. And so I decided that I was going to make my own beer bread. And I did, successfully. Now, at 10, the idea of cleaning up behind myself had never really crossed my mind. So when my mom got home, it was a disaster. There was flour everywhere. It just looked like, oh, Lord, it happened. But anyway, that was my first cooking experience. Now, my true origins in the kitchens started much earlier. Mom had to work, and she would come home at the end of the day. And she would get me and put me in these little bouncy things that would absolutely be illegal now. But anyway, these little things you just set the baby in. And she'd put me up on the counter. And I'd sit right there beside her while she cooked. And so that's how I kind of learned to cook, was watching Mom cook. Wash my hands off here. Get my pan down. So I'm there, and she's making something that I absolutely hate to this day, oyster stew. But it was a thing then, and people of that age still love oyster stew. God, it's awful. Anyway, what a waste of a good oyster. So that's what they would do. They would make oyster stew. And Mom sets everything there, and she's going and she's getting the cream ready for the oyster stew. And while she's doing it, I'm sitting over there and I'm having a good time. And Mama's bought a pint of oysters at the grocery store. And she comes and she gets all the cream ready, and she comes over to get the pint of oysters. Well, it's more than half empty. And she's like, but I just opened them. What happened to the oysters? And then she looks at me, and I am covered in oyster slime from head to toe. I've been leaning out a little bouncy thing, getting an oyster, coming up and eating raw oysters. Now we're talking about the way to eat an oyster. Raw or roasted, that's the way I like an oyster. That oyster stew stuff's terrible. But that's my introduction to cooking, and this is where my love and cooking is, I guess my love language to other people is cooking. If I love you, I cook for you. So, all right, we're gonna wait just a minute here. We're gonna stop until the pan gets hot. This is a good cast iron, well-seasoned pan. There's bacon and deer in this. I'm still gonna have to add a little bit of fat to it. I'm gonna use olive oil, not a lot, but I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, we're back. I've got my cast iron here, a little bit of olive oil in it, and the patties are in. One reason I like the deer is I can cook it rare, and since I have bacon in it, the bacon's done from the store. When you get to the store, get it from the store, you can eat it raw if that's your thing. It's not really my thing, but I don't mind chewy, but I don't want it raw. But we're gonna cook these to about 110, 115 degrees internal, and I do that with a remote thermometer. So when they get closer, we'll put the thermometer in and we'll check them and then pull them off. You can use your finger. I know people that swear they can tell you exactly what temperature it is by their finger and what it feels like. I've been cooking a long time and I've never been super successful at that. We're still about 4 or 5 minutes from the biscuits being done. Grab a plate and a towel to put the biscuits on. Plate to put the sausage on. I think we'll use paper towels for this. Something to put the biscuits on. And something for the sausage. One of the beauties of cast iron is you can make it pretty much non-stick and you can use metal in it. I use metal in everything whether I need to or not, and that's not always a good thing. Biscuits are coming along nicely. Kind of got a happy medium of spread and rise, so that's going to be good. A little bit longer, but you can begin to see the beginning to brown, Bernard effect. That's got to do with the temperature of your stove and the sugar that's in the bacon. The bacon, all bacon has sugar in it, and so that browns the sausage up nicely. We're going to let this cook a little while longer, and then we'll come back and wrap up with taking the biscuits out and eating a sausage biscuit. All right, biscuits are looking pretty done here. Nice light brown, good on the bottom. Yeah, I'm gonna say these are done. I'll pull them out. It's been, well, 19 seconds from 18 minutes. Here's our biscuits. Let them sit just a second. They'll come right off the pan. Place them out. You can see got good high rise, and they'll be very light and airy. Be delicious with our sausage. There's our biscuits. Sausage is ready to turn. We'll put the thermometer in it next. Got flour all over me as usual. Well, you can't smell it, but I can. It smells fabulous. Looks really good. I'm really happy. So now I'm going to put my thermometer in, give us a little check here. All right, and we're at about 98 degrees right now. And so we don't have a whole lot further to go. We don't want to cook it to death. You cook it too long, it gets tough. You can push it to 120, maybe 130 if you want. I guess if it really freaks you out, you go to 140. But I think it loses a lot. So. 1 Now it's just a few seconds. It's at 107. Like I said, I'm gonna go to 110, 115, somewhere in there, and then stop it and pull them out, and then we'll come back and eat a biscuit. All right, there's my magic number. There's 115. I'm gonna pull these out, let them rest a minute or two. Another thing that you need to remember when you're cooking is don't drop your food in the stove. Another thing you remember when you're cooking is that the temperature will continue to rise for a little while when you pull it out. So it'll probably be 118, 120 degrees internal temperature by the time we're ready to eat. So we see sausage and biscuits, and we'll be right back and eat a biscuit. Thanks. Well, deer sausage biscuits with strawberry jam that Mom made. Good stuff. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope you get to come and take a class and get to enjoy biscuit. And if you don't, I hope you learned enough to make some on your own. Without further ado, I'm gonna grab a biscuit here, split it open. Look at that. Pretty nice. Put me a little piece of sausage, on there. Give it a good bite. That's worth taking a class right there by itself. Now, one more thing. Because you can't really have, now my wife and my mother would say you can't have a biscuit without butter. But that's not my favorite. But now jam, on the other hand, now we're talking. So, nice jam biscuit. Man, that sausage is good. Wow. Thank y'all for joining us in the kitchen. If you like the video, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, follow, find us on Patreon, join us on Patreon. The recipe, as best I can, will be on Patreon. And find us on Discord. Thank y'all. Talk to you later.